First is Mayor of Canton. Canton Mayor Arnel Bolden was elected mayor on July 1st, 2013. He has spent the last 20 years serving as State Farm insurance agent, with 12 of those years in Canton. As an insurance agent, he has received numerous awards, including being listed as one of the top 100 agents in the nation among 17,000 representatives. He's a member of the 2013 class of Leadership Mississippi. Second is Batesville Mayor Jerry Autry, who has just entered his third term as Batesville Mayor. He was in the business of automotive and automotive accessory sales and manufacturing prior to taking office, and during his time in office, he's focused on conservative budgeting and expanding infrastructure. Third, Holly Springs Mayor Kelvin Buck is a former member of the Mississippi House of Representatives, where he represented Marshall and Benton counties for 10 years. While a representative, he served as chair of the University and College Committee. Buck, a native of Tupelo, is former alderman of Holly Springs. He received his bachelor's degree from Rusk College and holds a master's degree from Jackson State University. Third, who is connected to Canton, Mississippi, and Mayor Bolden, is Tim Coursey. Tim has served as the executive director of the Madison County Economic Development Authority since December 2004. Under his leadership, Madison County has seen private investment in the healthcare sector surge, with a diverse mix of new health and related facilities locating throughout the county, including a new hospital and a state-of-the-art health and wellness facility. He's assisting in the development of the Nissan supplier logistics currently under the construction in Canton. Justin Hall, a project manager with the Marshall County Industrial Development Authority, has played a very major role in the recruitment and expansion of many industries, resulting in hundreds of jobs in Marshall County. Prior to his work in Marshall County, Justin worked with site and infrastructure development companies in the Southeast. He is a member of the Mississippi Department of Transportation Aeronautics Multimodal Committee. Sonny Simmons, CEO of the Panola County Partnership, is credited with successful recruitment of 6 new industries in Batesville and the county, including the new GE Aviation facility and with the expansions of several of the existing industries located in Panola County. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to bring to the stage Mayor Arnel Bolden, who will then turn the program over to Tim Coursey.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Trey, for that introduction. First, I'd like to start by thanking Governor Bryan and his staff, the Madison County Healthcare Zone Master Plan Advisory Group, and all individuals who have provided insight, encouragement, support, and expertise as we undertake this great endeavor that will positively impact not only the citizens of Madison County, but also the state of Mississippi as a whole. As mayor, I would like to begin by taking you on a brief narrative tour of Canton, Mississippi, the home of my dog, Skip, and a place you can go if you have a time to kill. So you can tour one of Travel and Leisure magazine's most beautiful squares. But don't wait until As I Lay Dying, which premieres next month, before you make plans to enjoy our world-renowned flea market, Victorian Christmas Festival, and Symphony on the Square. As I alluded to earlier, we have a burgeoning film industry, which has welcomed stars like George Clooney, Samuel Jackson, Sandra Bullock, Matthew McConaughey. And as I look into the audience, some of you may be next. Our capacity to make high-quality movies is supported by a new multi-purpose studio which sits on 31 acres and includes a massive 36,000 square foot soundstage. We have the tools, including the ability to offer incentives to producers, which will continue to make Canton a hotbed for the movie industry. Since our establishment in 1836, the city of Canton, Mississippi, has been one of the most premier historical sites in our state. From the lawn of our Georgian-style courthouse to the many antique stores on the square which sell many one-of-a-kind items, we are proud that our city has been chosen as a location for such a major healthcare development initiative. We are gladly the home of one of the largest automakers in the United States of America, Nissan Motor Company, which produces the Armada, the Ultima, the Frontier, the Titan, and the Sentra at our local plant. They have definitely opened the door to many economic development opportunities, not only in the city of Canton and Madison County, but statewide, while providing jobs to a number of our 13,218 residents. We also have a new Walmart, which is scheduled to open in October. It is expected to provide hundreds of jobs and serve as a catalyst for other retail stores and restaurants which are looking to locate nearby. With so much opportunity at our doorstep, there's no question that our city wishes to diversify its economic development portfolio. And Governor Bryant's healthcare initiative is certainly a step forward. We are the proud home of Madison River Oaks Hospital, a new $42 million, 67-bed, state-of-the-art facility which offers 24-hour emergency care, general surgery, orthopedics, pediatrics, and neurology, to name a few. Healthcare is not just about serving the health and wellness needs of people, but also about serving the economic health and wellness of a state, a region, and a community. All of us must work together to care for the needs of our citizens and ensure that their best interests are served at all times. Like the governor said, it's not just about the hospitals, but about the factories that supply those hospitals with everything from medical equipment and high-tech machines to the goods and services necessary to make these vital and important institutions function. It is also about the jobs created by hiring the diverse group of individuals who render quality care, from the receptionist to the nurse to the x-ray tech to the doctors. The city of Canton will support Governor Bryant's statewide comprehensive strategy that embraces a philosophy that healthcare can be an economic development driver. My team at City Hall, along with Tim Coursey at the Madison County Economic Development Authority, will work with MDA to recruit healthcare-related companies to Mississippi. Using an old hotel slogan, we will certainly keep the lights on for you. At this time, I will allow my fellow colleague, Tim Coursey, to speak in more detail about this plan.
This morning, you heard the gentleman talk about the fact that perhaps healthcare wasn't as important to economic developers in the past as it is now. And I'd like to sort of talk about that just a second. I think we've all been very interested in healthcare. The problem is that in the world we live in, there wasn't a whole lot we could do to help the healthcare industry to grow. There weren't incentives that were available. There was no healthcare zones. I'm sure we had governors that saw the opportunity in the legislature, seeing the opportunity in their various capacities. But, you know, it's just now with the baby boomers coming online that it's becoming all the rage, so to speak. So I want to talk about how we created our zone. It was a group effort. It's not hard. It takes some time. It takes people, and it takes a little drive. You got to be consistent with it, and you got to have a good planning group. So let's begin. Just show a brief outline. This is really what I'm going to cover today. It's how we got here, what we have, what makes our zone so attractive. Really, it's the area that's tied in with the zone, we believe, and how we're going to spread the word. I'm a promoter in a manner of speaking. My job is to sell Madison County. So you guys bear with me that you're from other parts of the county because I'm going to brag a little bit. These are the things that we think get the prospect's attention. When investment is looking around, whether it's a manufacturing plant or whether it's a healthcare organization, these are the things that they're going to be looking at. What's our per capita income? What's our growth rate? Why are people moving here? One of the reasons they move to Madison County is because of our great school system. But the great school system that we have drives the growth rate. It drives those other investors to come to this community. On top of the fact that you heard Mr. Hess talk about quality of place this morning, it's all those things together that make quality of place so important. And that's where we start. That's where our marketing efforts start with really our quality of place and telling people what we have that we think sets us apart from the rest of the folks out there. So here to start, this shows a timeline of an area that I'll show you a picture of here in a minute that's pretty interesting, I think. There's an area around where the hospital went, and in 2006, I think that's about right, we had the MEA clinic located out there, kind of just in an open tract of land. The CAV Center was out there. The CAVs was right across from Nissan, and a couple other Region 8 located. And then the hospital happened. And right after that, as you might expect, you can see all these ancillary services that popped up literally overnight. And that hasn't stopped yet. This is what that area looked like in 1997. So it looks like just pasture land, maybe farming land with an interstate running through it. And that's what it looks like today. The most impressive thing there, people might think, is the Nissan plant, but equally impressive is the amount of development that has occurred over here on the left side of the frame. So that's pretty fantastic, especially for an area that used to be very remote, rural, just 25, 30 years ago. This is my attempt to show you how the process worked for us. As you know, you've heard this a couple times today, that it started off with Blueprint Mississippi. It then transgressed into the Blueprint Mississippi healthcare study, and then the zone legislation was passed. Zones were created. They exist. They're out there. They're functioning. But there were some areas that were left behind. Madison County was one of them, and man, we were frustrated. I'm going to tell you. We have a lot of healthcare investment happening in Madison County, and so we were talking to our legislatures, our senators, Rita Martinson, Will Longwitz, all those guys. What do we do here? What can we do? Well, the governor steps in, and that's the area where you see the little Governor Bryant's effort. That's the key, the critical component here. That's the chain or the link that linked everything together for us. And then the rest is sort of history. You had Mississippi Home Corp and the reason why the private sector gets involved. And then the master plan was developed, and we have our healthcare zone. This is just a little, so you can understand our story, how our zone was created. Again, it took people. These representatives you see were from 15 different organizations. The power company, the city, some of the planning folks, private developers. But at the time, we had what I call a critical mass happening, where we had a private sector developer who needed the home credits, but he has a bigger vision than that as well. You had the local vision from the Canton folks like Arnel, people like Joanne Gordon with vision, and Jordan now that's running the chamber, and we had the county that was looking for opportunities to do something. Since the hospital was built there, we wanted to leverage the hospital into other assets. And then we had a medical overlay district that was being talked about. And then we had the overall development in the area. So we had this critical mass that was already happening that we felt like was a huge advantage for us and allowed us to sort of have the skids greased into creating the zone. I mentioned the assets that existed along that parallel path that we were developing the zone. This is why we think that we have a competitive advantage against a huge amount of competition out there from other states. You can read those. The main things that we try to get our arms around to show people is, not just our location, but the fact that we've got a very diversified healthcare industry around here, including, a lot of people don't know it, but we've got a great little pharmaceutical cluster in Madison County, and we've got several very large medical supply companies. And that's, a little different from what we might have been hearing about today, which is mostly hospitals and ancillary services. We're just as interested in manufacturers of medical devices or advanced materials that are used at hospitals, things like that, as we are in recruiting the ancillary services, the doctor's offices and what have you. The last thing you notice on here is our new Panther Creek Commerce Center, and here's why that comes into play. This is a 2,000-acre site. 1,000 acres of it is an Entergy qualified site That means that we have all the data to recruit business into it, basically to show them what it will cost to develop an acre of property out there, and that helps MDA with their job as well. So we have this great asset sitting out there that we're taking advantage of. Believe me, we're marketing that every day, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. But then you put the healthcare planning zone, or the master planned area, right there next to it. That I'm going to show you in a second what that's actually going to mean. This is just a slide to show you who did this. Bob is here today. I don't want to take away from what they're going to talk about. There's Bob and Steve. That's a rendering of what the multi-use area will look like. This is the zone. This right here is the master planned area. I flashed at you. And then this is the actual 5-mile zone right here. What's interesting there is that's a 78 square mile area. There's not many industrial parks that are, I doubt there's any that are that large. That's kind of what you have here, though. You've got a huge asset. And I believe you said there's 12 of those around the state now, Trey. So what do we do? What are we going to do with the fact that we have a healthcare zone? We can sit around and talk about it, and we can do things the old-fashioned way, or we can try to apply some of the things that we feel like we've learned that are cutting-edge technologies to market our product. Really, essentially, what we're doing is implementing part of the plan. Now, there's a large portion of that plan that will be left up to the city of Canton and other folks that are involved, that some of those 15 groups you saw. So I'm just going to talk about specifically real quick what we're involved with. First of all, we've got a list of targeted industries. You can read those right here. There's a great list that comes in the legislation. Of course, we're open to all of them, but these are the ones we're going to kind of focus on because these are the ones that make most sense for us. These are the ones that we already have experience with, too, in some cases. The next thing is, of course, we'll utilize our website. A lot of folks don't know, especially in the economic development world, that your website is your #1 marketing tool. That's where the site selectors go. First thing, you can count on it. They're not going to call you first. They may never call you, but they're always going to go to your site if they're interested in your community. The last thing on this slide is our relationship building. I can't tell you how important that is. That requires a lot of thinking and in some cases a lot of money. Involves travel, but it can be just as effective as your website. It's probably #2, I think, according to most of the research that we've done and our experiences. What do I mean by that? It's just outreach. Getting to know the Bob Hesses, getting to know the Dennis Donovans, the site selectors, getting to know the architects and the engineers who actually design the healthcare facilities. It's great to have a relationship with them. This next page is, and this is the last of it, I'm sorry I'm running a little bit behind. We feel like we're probably, I don't want to say we're doing more than anybody else, we're not, but we feel like we're where we need to be as far as Web 2.0. Social media marketing. Again, I'm going to use your name again, Bob. I was talking to Bob yesterday, and social media marketing, you can't track your prospects with it. You can't tell exactly why they have, that somebody was tweeting about you and they saw it, or a prospect saw it and they called you up. That's not what's going to happen. What social media marketing does for you is it gets your name out there. And we don't just approach it from, let's have a staff person tweet or do a Facebook post a couple times a week or whenever they can think about it. We've got a very sophisticated and systematic system that we have in place that does about 100 tweets or posts a day, and then that information is repurposed once it's picked up by the web bots out there, and it could, 1,000 posts could end up being repurposed 7,000 times out there. And I could talk to y'all afterwards if you want to know how we do that. The last two things is Google online advertising, Google AdWords. If you're not using them right now, you need to learn how. If you're interested in getting the word out about your economic development organization and even your city or your town or your county, you need to be doing that. And then the last thing that's sort of our secret that I really can't tell you a whole lot about, but it should get you to thinking, is advanced web analytics. the system that we use right now, and we're just now signed up with it, it'll give you the capability to see who's looking at your website. And I don't mean it's just going to give you, you know, an address. It will give you a name of a company and probably the telephone number that you can call. It's not going to say that it's Bob Baxter that's looking at your website, but you'll know what company's looking at your website. You'll know what page they were on and how long they were there. So what you can do then is take what would be an anonymous visitor and potentially turn them into a prospect. And I can't tell you how we do that, though. Thank you for the opportunity to be here in front of you guys today.